各位乡亲、各位朋友，大家好，大家好，我是美国洛杉矶千之峰电视平台Samuel Lee。今天你们所看的节目叫做《美国生活台》。今天要给你们介绍一位美国在这边长大的一个年轻人啊，我们称为台美年轻人。他的爸爸呢叫涂泽雄老先生啊，涂老先生他对台湾的建国运动非常的热衷，对台湾也有非常大的期望。那他儿子呢啊，他现在是律师哦。他现在在美国的San Jose的北边叫 Mountain View 这个 city 呢当律师，同时呢，今天特别介绍他，就是因为他除了当律师以外，他还在这个整个 city 的 City Channel 那边呢主持一个 talk show 的节目在每个礼拜的 Thursday 那个晚上 10:30 在那边都有一个 talk show 的节目所以是相当特殊。假如您住在Sunnyvale 和 San Jose、Mountain View 这个附近的话呢，晚上10点半打开 Channel 你就可以看到他主持 talk show。今天他来到洛杉矶是因为圣诞节回到这边跟爸爸妈妈一起过节，所以特别邀请到他这边，我们来访问他，然后请他跟大家来聊聊他在那边的主持节目啦，或者是他对奥巴马啦、对马英九的一些看法。Can you say something to our audience?
Hello.
Yeah. Can you introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah. Well, I'm a lawyer by profession, but when I'm not being a lawyer, I volunteer at the local cable access station in Mountain View, California, KMVT 15, and have my own show there, as well as volunteering for other people's shows. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. 各位乡亲，我们在 YouTube 上面也可以看到他的我们这边列上一个 YouTube 的位置来你们有兴趣可以上去看一下Yeah, may I call you lawyer too, or
just call me Jim?
Jim is like lawyer too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk about some of your contents of your TV show?
Oh yeah. Well, the show is pretty much a news discussion / comedy. So we talk about unusual news stories. So
unusual
things that are just odd,
such as
whether or not people actually have psychic abilities. A man who marries his dog, whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing. What else is there? What else have we talked about? Like whether or not your brain actually matures into middle age rather than peaking at 20 like most people believe. Let's see here, what else is there? We did one where a man, every time he had sex, he went blind. So unusual stories like that. Also stories whether or not having superstitious rituals will actually help you perform better. So let's see, what else have we talked about? Gosh, it's hard to think, hard to remember them all. But
is that topic related to your professional background?
Not at all.
No?
Not at all. They were meant they were meant to be just stories I passed around a lot. And people found them interesting, and I figured, well, maybe I can put together a show based upon some of the weird stories I managed to find all the time. And then I pass them around, and then so people, so we just kind of bat them around. The discussion is very light. It's very unserious, somewhat serious, but not like normal politics or topical events where everyone's like, very passionate about something. It's kind of like, do you really believe people are psychic? Well, does it really matter? Something like that. Or, a man marries his dog. Do you really care? No, it's funny to talk about sometimes. It's like whether or not they're registered at Beds Bath and Beyond or a pet store or something along those lines. But we try to take it serious.
So are you the producer and also the host,
Yes.
or you are just the host and not the producer?
I am both the producer and the host of the show.
So you have to find out the topic on every week.
Well, we tape once a month, so usually it's once a month. But
Once a month.
Well, we tape once a month. The show broadcasts once a week. So usually what happens is when you run out of new shows, the following week is a repeat. It's typical for cable access. Most shows will tape one show a month, and then so when they broadcast once a week, the remaining 3 weeks will be repeats of previous episodes. And I usually tape 2 shows a month. So usually,
okay.
if it all goes to plan, it's 2 new shows, and then the remaining 2 or 3 weeks it'll be repeats. But so far so good. So far so good.
So you have to go the correspondent work for you to get some news.
No,
To use it topic. No.
I pretty much get I pretty much get all the stories just by surfing the internet. And so, which is fine. I mean, that's one of the things I had a lot of spare time this year when my work slowed down. I spent a lot of time surfing the internet, just finding interesting stories. I come up with a list of stories, and then a couple days before we tape, I get all the panelists that have agreed to be on the show, and I say, here's a list of stories. We're going to pick 4 for each show. You guys pick the stories. And then they pick the stories, and then from there, I will pick which order to do the stories in, because some of the stories just have like certain things in common, or where you can call back, make a reference from one issue to one story to another story, and then I'll write the script where I'll read a teleprompter and I'll introduce the story, and then I come up with the questions I ask people, the panelist questions, and then they respond however they want to respond. I'll usually let them see the questions beforehand so they won't be completely taken by surprise. And then based on their answers, I might stick to the script, or I might just ask them a question just because based on their answer, you just kind of go, you're in the moment. And it's a fun show, I think. Most people tell me it's a fun show to do. So most people are willing to come back.
So I saw your shows, average guest, about 3 or 4 guests.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. That's how big the table is. That's how big the table. That's how big the table is. And and I think it's a good right around that number. About 4 is a good number, just simply because you can get different opinions and just different perspectives and stuff like that.
You know, the Google is located in Mountain View, the city of Mountain View.
Yes.
Have you ever interviewed with the Google guy in the show?
Not yet. I don't know anybody who works at Google. Even though I live there, I don't know anybody who works there. And most of the people that have been on the show have been people that I know, or who I've kind of met. Because when I initially came up with the concept for the show, I described it to people as like, hey, you want to be on the show? And it's basically an exercise of, most people would say, no.
How come?
Well, because
it's American. Americans like to show off, right?
So most people are actually shy.
Really?
Most people are shy.
Same as Taiwanese?
Could be. And plus, it's not like you're on national TV or local TV. It's cable access. So I mean, not that many people will theoretically be watching you. And I mean, once it gets on, I do put the shows onto YouTube after they broadcast. Since when you do cable access, you own the copyright. Once it gets broadcast, then the copyright is yours, and you can do whatever you want with it. But the thing is, what you realize is the only, seems like the shows that get a lot of, or the clips that get a lot of viewers on YouTube, usually involve something that goes wrong, or something that really bad happens to somebody. It's like someone gets hit between the legs accidentally, or some dog does something cute or whatever. So thankfully, nothing really bad has happened yet. No one's gotten hit in the crotch on my show yet.
Okay. So since you come from the Mountain View,
right?
Okay. So how do you think the Google? Somebody said that Google has a privacy problem because they have the street shooting.
Right.
Okay. So cause some privacy problem. How do you think?
I would think that most people wouldn't have too much, because Google just drives by and takes pictures. It's not like they do it intentionally.
Yeah, right.
Unless at that very moment they drive by, they catch you in the middle of something, you're usually okay. I mean, now granted, every now and then, if you take that many pictures, eventually something goes wrong. And then, some people have fun with it when they see because when the Google thing drives by, it's pretty obvious. It's like some car, it'll say Google on it, big letters on the side, and there's this big pole with like cameras all around. So it's pretty conspicuous. So I think there was somebody the other day who basically just jumped in, like had prop legs sticking out from the trunk of his car, from the trunk of his car, and just pretended to be dead, or else.
Yeah, I heard the news. I just told by my friend, and husband's outside for work.
Right.
Okay, and the wife they stayed at home. Okay, one day they saw on this Google map they have 2 cars parking in front of the garage door.
Right.
Yeah, so the husband asked his wife, "How come there's another car parked there?" So tell the story. So how do you think?
Well, if I was if you're going to be I don't know, if you're the wife, you have to tell whoever you're cheating with to be more discreet. So park it down the street. Park it down the street. Right? Well, the thing is, Google doesn't go into anybody's home. They just, if you can, if they take pictures of what's on the street, anybody can see what's on the street. So therefore, I don't have a problem with it. Now, maybe their satellite thing I might have a problem with if it was like, if they got really, really, really good fine detail photos.
Yeah.
But most of the time they don't get to the point where you can see someone like naked in their backyard or anything like that. So I mean, with the Google Street View, it's like, if you don't want people on the street to see it, then don't show it.
But it's impossible because some Google takes the satellite, right?
Right.
Such as my house.
Right.
I can see my backyard, my garden, my car, everything. So in details.
Right. So I mean, but that I would have more of a problem with. But I think it's like, but the stuff with the Street View, the Street View is just like everybody can, your neighbor, if your neighbors can see it, Google will see it. So I don't have a problem with that. The Street View, the satellite view. I'm hoping that most people don't look that closely. They just want to look. You usually just want to see where you want to go, right? And you want to see, okay, if someone claims there's a swimming pool there, I mean, I've used it to look. I mean, I had a case where someone was talking about working at the San Francisco airport or at the maintenance facility for one of the airlines at San Francisco airport, and he's like, well, I went to this building, I went to this building, I went to this building. He's like, well, can you tell me where they are now? No, I can't tell you where they are. It's like, fine. Pulled up Google Maps. Showed it to him. I don't recognize this, and I'm like, you worked there for 30 years. Can't tell me which building is which building. So I mean, but it was helpful in the sense that at least you had some idea of what he was talking about, even if he was lying.
Yeah. As the Google user like us, I wish someday you can have interview with the founder of Google in your show, and then we can go to YouTube to take a look.
Oh yeah, I'd love to do that, but but I assume the founders of Google probably have better things to do, like how to spend all their money.
To spend the money.
Well, it takes.
Ask them to do some community service.
Oh, I'm sure they give a lot of money to charity, but they probably have so much money that spending it takes a long time.
Okay.
If only I had that dilemma, right? If we all had that dilemma. But,
so, as the anchor of like you in the TV. The cable TV, so your father, your parents, is something influence on you about the political or something else?
Oh no, I mean I think they've always been supportive of whatever crazy things I do. But I always try to not be too crazy because you don't want to panic them. So I mean, they originally wanted to become a doctor. I think isn't that like what every Taiwanese parent wants their child to be a doctor?
Because of the KMT, they killed a lot of Taiwanese in 228. Since then, Taiwanese always wish their kids to be a doctor, far away from political issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I know. Yeah.
All right. As opposed to just doctors make a lot of money.
Yeah, just money.
Doctors are making.
Yeah, people to ask you.
Right.
Not you ask people to do something.
Right.
That's different.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think probably like 90% of Taiwanese children growing up here in the United States, we don't become doctors. We become right. 'Cause not everybody can become a doctor. You have to become something else. I mean, plus, I wasn't really good at math, and science I was okay at, but it wasn't like some stuff that interested me. I was more interested in like history, and politics here in the United States. But law school was probably the more, law school was the more natural progression. And lawyers, aren't as prestigious as doctors, for my parents.
Well,
but it's respectable.
The lawyer in Taiwan, usually they do the political revolution.
Right.
Yeah. So in Taiwanese opinion, the concept, I think the boy be the doctor and girl go to the music school.
Right.
And then married to doctor.
Married to doctor, okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, then hopefully my parents won't be too disappointed because my other two brothers, one is a computer programmer.
Uh-huh.
I don't think he's done bad. I think he's probably done the best of the three of us. And then the youngest one he's a student now, but he's also served in the Army National Guard. So he's a soldier. But I think he aspires, I think, to be a computer programmer. He wants to make computer games as well. But just like I always tell him, it requires a lot of math and math. And you weren't good at math. You weren't good at math. Math is hard. Of the three of us, the middle brother was really good at math. I think I was okay, but, and then the third one.
So maybe the background is a lawyer, law, right? So now he's a TV media host, anchor.
Well, that's just for
maybe
fun.
next step is to the Washington D.C.
Oh no. See, the thing is, I think politics requires certain people skills.
Yeah.
Just be able to get along with people, and I don't know if I have those skills. I think I'm too honest and opinionated with my stuff.
Oh, okay.
Politics to be a politician involves the ability to compromise.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like there are certain things a lot of things in life I don't really care about. I'll just you want coffee or tea, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But in terms of politics, I don't think I'm an easy compromiser. I think
okay. Personality profile.
Well, I'm known to have hard opinions. Strong opinions in terms of things politically, at least here in the United States. Taiwanese politics, don't know as much about, so I'm a little bit less opinionated.
Okay. Yeah. Then, okay, in the next session, we want to ask you some your opinion about President Obama.
Well, I'm more than happy to share them with you.
OK， 各位乡亲、各位朋友啊，我们见识到一个台美人就在媒体界服务，他本身有律师的资格啊。那我们下一节我们来访问他，有关于谈他对奥巴马总统以及台湾的马英九啊，这是他的美国年轻人的看法是怎么样？我们休息一下，马上回来。